Hey everybody, I'm Mohammed Teagle Amali. Today I'm sitting with Tara. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. I'm actually really excited to be here because I understand we have kind of the same mission. I see that you love helping people, and that's definitely my biggest mission in life is helping others succeed. So I feel like we're kindred spirits over here. But yeah, I'm Tara. I am a certified lifestyle manager, a celebrity assistant. I run two businesses, a personal concierge business and a fractional executive assistant business. I'm extremely passionate about time management and goal setting. I do a lot of coaching to help people set their goals and achieve their goals. I was actually just doing a podcast earlier today about Valentine's Day and
Okay.
about continuing love, like self love throughout the year, and really being able to, in my opinion, the biggest point of self love is being able to achieve your goals because it means that you're worthy. So, yeah, I really love talking about goal management, goal setting, and time management. Some fun facts about me: I live in a church, so as you can kind of see in the background. I'm a crazy cat lady. I have 6 cats, so you may see some running around in the background as well. And I split my time between Toronto, Canada, and Nashville.
Okay. Now, you said you live in a church?
I live in a church. Yeah. Can
Okay.
you tell in the
That's a
background?
first. That's a first.
Yeah.
I guess you're going to like super heaven then,
Yeah, I think so. Maybe
right?
not. I like, I don't know. Sometimes I break the rules in here. So
You got to. Yeah. So you mentioned that you love helping people. Why is that?
I've always said that I've like been put on this planet to help others succeed. I'm really the happiest when I can see like what I've been able to do, help others grow and build businesses and be successful in their own way. I remember when I was little, I used to have a t-shirt that said, "Remember me, I'm going to be a star." And I wore that shirt everywhere. I wish I still had it, but it like disintegrated because I wore it so much. And the problem was, is I had very little musical talent. Yes, you can see like guitars behind me. I love looking at them. I'm not the greatest at playing them. And in my mind, being, a star was being a rock star and, getting up on the stage and in the bright lights. And I was like, ooh, I don't think I can do that. I can't sing. I can't dance. I can't play a musical instrument. And I know there was like a good Super Bowl ad last weekend about being a rock star and how rock stars were making fun of people in the business world calling themselves rock stars. But I have always kind of thought that everyone can be the rock star of their own lives, whether it is being the best parent they can be, being the best animal lover they can be, running their most successful business, being the best real estate agent they can be. So I've always kind of lived my life around that concept of like, hey, I can help everyone be the star, the rock star of their own lives.
Okay. I got to be honest, I kind of want that t-shirt.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it just
know.
sounds
I'm so
awesome.
sad I don't have it anymore.
All right. So do you have a favorite quote, something that just resonates with you?
I do. I do. I say this to myself all the time. And it is whenever you think your dreams are silly, remember that there's a millionaire walking around that invented the pool noodle. And it's from Anonymous. But I
That
always
invented what?
think the pool noodle, the like the foam thing that you
Oh,
use
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
water.
Okay.
Yeah. So someone came up with that concept and became a millionaire off of it. And I am sure that, people made fun of that person. I don't even know if it was a man or a woman. I wish I knew who invented the pool noodle because
Yeah, I
I
kind of
use
want to
this
Google
quote
that.
all the time. Yeah. But yeah, like they are absolute like millionaires right now. And yeah, people are probably like, you're inventing what? What are you doing with your life? That's never going to stick. So I always think about that because again, like I talk and think about goal setting all the time. And I really believe that being able to like visualize our goals and write them down really helps us achieve what we've set out to do in life. And to be able to check one item off of our list every single day that gets us closer to those goals is really, really like part of being able to achieve them. So whether it's inventing a pool noodle, whether it's, building a business, whether it's selling maybe your goal is to sell a $20 million home this year or something. People may laugh at you, but to always think, to keep those goals front and center is really what you have to do. And a little backstory about me. I actually was the personal assistant to many celebrities in my life. I used to travel with bands as their personal assistant.
Mhm.
And I lived on tour buses, was gone for about 10 years of the start of my career. And I had the opportunity of helping the Rolling Stones. And I remember Keith would always say, just keep picking, Tarra. And what he meant was like, if you're having a bad day, if you don't think you can get to the next step, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep picking and strumming that guitar, just keep on going to get to your next level of your goal. So I guess I have two favorite quotes,
That's
one
great
from Keith and
advice.
one from the anonymous.
Yeah, that's great advice. Let me ask you this, because I
Yeah.
know I do this. I admittedly do this. I have my to-do list. It's usually pretty long, but I'll do something and it's not on the list, and I'll literally just write it in just so I can check it
Yes.
off.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
You
not the
know
only
why
one?
you No, you're not the only one. And you know what? This is actually a really good habit to be in because we all think about motivation. And a lot of us as business owners, entrepreneurs trying to get ahead of in our career, we kind of have those moments where we're sitting and waiting for motivation to strike us like a lightning bolt. And I have to say, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just not going to happen. Motivation doesn't work that way. Motivation is actually a buildup of small successes. So, you know how some people say, always make your bed first thing in the morning. Well, yeah, that can be a clean habit, to tidying up. But it's also a small win that you can check off of your list and be like, if I haven't done anything else today, at least I've made my bed and checked that off. So you writing down items that you've already done on your to-do list and checking them off is actually creating motivation for you to keep going and to keep really driving forward for all those other things on your to-do list.
Okay, kind of like momentum, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, it
All right.
builds momentum. And actually, that's why I also say I talked about it, I hinted about it a little bit before, but trying to check one item off of your list every day that drives you towards your ultimate goal. So if you set out a goal for the end of the year, a yearly goal, break that down into like quarters and months, and then even days. So what can I do today to help me achieve that goal at December 31st and or whatever like year end that you've picked. It doesn't have
Okay.
to be a big task every day. It can literally be like, I'm going to send 10 emails to random people to try and build my contact list today, and then do it. Or I'm going to send or message 20 people on LinkedIn today, or comment on 20 posts today, to build my network. So you do it, you check it off, and you've actually, achieved something towards your goal. And going to bed at night thinking like, I was a success today, really helps get up the next day and keep on going.
That's a great idea. So that kind of helps with like accountability rather than just, having the dream and being stagnant, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly. And accountability is all about this. A lot of people always ask me like what's my biggest time management or goal setting tip, and or what do I use personally? And I always have to say that like time management, goal setting, accountability is very personal. So what works for me might not necessarily work for everybody else. And that's why I get really frustrated when people are like, "Oh, I googled, time management and like I'm not good at it. I see the same 10 tasks or 10 items on how to be great at time management, and I just can't follow them." And it's true. Like when you Google time management or goal setting or how to hold someone accountable, you always see the exact same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
But being able to like hold yourself to whatever, say, 3 items you pick out of that list is what's going to actually help drive you forward. So, building habits. A lot of people will, again, say, like, I'm not good at time management. I'm not good at goal setting. Well, have you tried? It's like, do you think you're going to lose 20 pounds if you go to the gym and run on a treadmill for an hour? I wish. Like, I wish it was that simple. But it's the same with time management. It's the same with goal setting. Being able to hold yourself accountable to like build that habit slowly and steadily is how you are going to become a success.
Okay. What's one of the biggest habits that has helped you out?
Yeah. So the one that I love the most, kind of going back to my earlier career of helping celebrities, is I got to have a front row seat in how they have become and maintained their success. So, not by Googling it, but by actually seeing their day to day habits
Hmm.
that they do to like maintain this success. And I noticed across the board, whether they were a celebrity like an athlete or a musician or an actor, they always had one thing in common to drive their success, and that was focus. So if you are 100% focused on what you want to do and your goal, and you're holding yourself accountable to it, there's going to be nothing that stops you. There's actually a really cool equation that is kind of thrown around Hollywood a lot. And I like to always quote it. And it's pretty crazy. It's like 20% plus 20% plus 20% plus 80% doesn't equal 100%. Yeah, of course. But what does that actually mean? It means that if you're focusing a little bit of your time here and a little bit of your time here and like a bigger chunk of your time over here, you're never going to really accomplish what you have set out to do, just because you're kind of pulling your mind and your brain away from the one thing that's important to help you get to the next level. So if you think of like athletes training for the Olympics, for example, all they do is train. They train 16 hours, 18 hours a day for what is it, like 2, 3, 4 years at a time. Now, I'm not saying that to be a success, you have to work 12, 14, 16 hours a day. Please don't take that away. But they're 100%
I'll do it.
focused on, yeah, I know, they're 100% focused on their end goal. So, my biggest habit is trying to create as much focus as I can for the goal that I have set out. So, what is my focus today? What are my top 3 priorities today that I'm going to focus on so I can complete my goals, so I can build success, so I can continue my businesses, so I can live the life that I want to live.
Yeah, I read this thing I started doing pretty recently. It's helped, I think it's called time blocking,
Hmm.
which
Yeah.
kind of seems similar. It's like, just getting rid of everything and just focus on I'm doing this now, and that's all that exists.
Yeah. How's it been going for you? Has it been working?
It's good, except when I put the phone back on, there's so many voicemails. Text
Yes,
messages.
voicemails.
Ugh.
I know. And trying to catch up with them is sometimes annoying. But then you can make a
Yeah.
block of time to
Oh
catch
yeah, it's
up,
so much more
you know?
productive.
Yeah, and they actually also have now a lot of people are talking about monk mode. Being in a church, I feel like I can talk about this, but monk mode is where you just turn off all notifications, you turn off your phone, you turn off everything on your computer, and you really focus on that one task that you want to achieve that day. So whether it's writing a report, editing a podcast, figuring out what you want to do, what your goal is, really like focusing on that. Whatever it is, go silent from the world and focus for an hour. It doesn't even have to be very long.
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask me, well, I have trouble getting into that focus mode. I, get sucked down the social media rabbit hole, or I want to go make another coffee, or maybe my dog should go have a walk quickly. And one of my biggest tricks and tips that I like to use is the Pomodoro timer. I don't know if you've heard of
The
that,
what?
but it actually is Italian for tomatoes. So you sometimes hear it as the tomato timer. Not sure why. But basically what it is, and there's an app on your phone, you can get it on your computer, you can get a physical one if you want, you can find it anywhere, but it is a timer for 25 minutes. And basically it says that your brain can really only focus and deep concentrate for 25 minutes. So let's set the timer and let's just get down to business and do it. And I feel like the physical act of like hitting start, whether it's on your phone or your computer, you're like, oh, I have 25 minutes. I better get into it. And then all of a sudden it goes so fast. You're like, oh my goodness, it's like already up. And then they ask you to take a 5-minute break and then come back and start your deep focus again. And that's actually how you can get the most achieved in a day, through those like 25-minute spurts, uninterrupted spurts.
See, I do something similar to that, and I thought that I created it.
Maybe you did.
Oh my god, I
Is it
lost it.
behind
Oh,
you?
there it is. I use this.
There you go. Now you just have to draw a little tomato on it and you are all caught up. But it works, right? Because you turn
Yeah, it
that
helps.
over
I mean,
and then you're
honestly,
like,
once
whoa,
I flip it over, it's just like, all right, now I'm just focused. So the time will run out. I just don't notice, which I guess is a good thing.
it is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, people always talk too about going back to focus a little bit more, about multitasking. And when I do presentations where I can interact with the audience, I always ask them how many people here multitask. And at least half, if not three-quarters of the audience puts up their hands every single time. And then I'll ask how many people are good at multitasking. And about the same number put up their hand, maybe a little bit less.
Mhm.
And then I ask how many people are tired, and pretty much everyone in the audience puts up their hand.
Yeah.
And it's because, multitasking is actually making us exhausted, because our brains, they can't multitask. They can only think of one thing at a time. We think we're multitasking, but we're actually context switching. Sometimes we're context switching really quickly. So our brain is, going back and forth really quickly between one thought and another thought, which is
I do
making
that.
us exhausted. Yeah. And are you
What I
tired?
usually do is I'll do one. It's hard for me to do one thing at once.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll usually do something and then do something small that doesn't really need a lot of focus. I just do
Yeah.
that on the side and kind of switch back and forth. Like that'll
Mm-hmm.
be my little break almost.
Yeah. But you can't do both at the exact same time
No,
because your
not
brain won't
effectively.
let you do it. Not effective at all. And actually, you're wasting time too, because your brain is takes sometimes up to 3 seconds to switch between one thought and another thought. So if you're like, typing an email and then, oh yeah, I have to call someone, and then you stop the email, you go to call someone, you try to like figure out the number, who am I calling again? Then you call them and then you go back to your computer and you're like, what was I doing again? Oh yeah, I was writing
Oh,
that
that's
email.
me.
Where was I? So then look at all the time you've wasted. But if you time block and focus on your one thing at a time, you're actually going to save so much time during the day and not be as exhausted at night.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell everybody like if it didn't make the list, it's not.
It's not
You
happening.
gotta call me. Like if it didn't make the list, then that's it.
Now I have a question for you. How big
Sure.
is your to-do list in a day?
The truth?
The truth, yes.
Ooh, it's usually around like. All right, so the actual to-do list is usually about 2 pages.
Okay.
But then there's another like 3, 4 pages after that with like side projects that I'll get to when I get to.
Yep. And
So,
then do you, the 2 pages of to-dos, do you break it down into what you're going to do today?
yeah, so the 2 pages, there's the primary section, the secondary section, and the
Yeah, we'll figure it out eventually
yeah,
section.
like after all that stuff's done, we can worry about that.
Yeah, but the so you're going to be the most effective of achieving whatever you're set out to achieve and actually finishing that to-do list. Well, you can never finish a to-do list, there's always things,
Yeah,
but to getting close to finishing it, if you set out 3 priorities for the day, one being like a larger task to complete, one being a medium one, and one being a fairly simple one that can help you with your motivation to continue the day, or as like a break task that you just want to, rest. I like
yeah,
to do filing at that time when my brain has had enough. I'm like, I'm just going to file some things on my computer, like some documents that are sitting in my download folder for a really long time or something like that. Maybe I'll do some expenses, just like stuff that doesn't really need a lot of brain power to do,
yeah.
but I can still check it off my list. And another little thing I like to do about my to-do list is, your to-do list on your phone or on your computer, or is it analog?
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. I'm surrounded by post-it notes on the second monitor. I have a to-do list that's on the computer, a task thing on the email and my phone, and everything's kind of like just synced up together. So like when I have an idea or whatever it
Okay.
is, I'm like, all right, there.
Yeah.
And then
So
also
I
I run into a lot of times, oh, what was I doing? What did I have to do? So this way I could just go on the phone like, oh, okay, that's what I have to do.
yes. Yes, I love it. Now, a little trick is, if you go on your phone to see what you have to do, this happens to me all the time. I go, "What's next?" I open up my phone, and then 3 hours go by. I've gone down the social media rabbit hole. I've answered some emails. I've answered some text messages. And then I'm like, why did I pick up my phone in the first place? So what I like to do is, I like to keep my 3 top priorities for the day on sticky notes, exactly what you do.
Yeah,
So I don't have to open up my phone. I can continue in my focus mode. And I can just look at my sticky note and know that, I've checked some things off. This is the next thing I have to do. I also like putting my tasks into my time blocks.
yeah,
So I put, my time block is to work on business development from 9 to 11. But then I put the specific tasks in there that I want to complete. And then you can realize, oh, there's no way between 9 and 11 that I'm going to get all of these things I set out to do today done. So maybe I should, move something over to tomorrow, or maybe next Monday or next Tuesday.
yeah, yeah. I get that. Yeah, usually what I do is I'll wake up around like 5 usually, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'll start, responding to emails, doing numbers, things like that. Because I know my phone's not gonna ring. I won't get interrupted. I won't, get thrown off the flow, pretty much.
Yeah, it's actually a good idea to, like, maybe you have to answer emails. A lot of us do first thing in the morning, but I don't know if you've heard, it's said a lot that your inbox or emails is like other people's to-do list being forced on you. It's not necessarily your own to-do list. So, maybe it is like outreach or something like that that you want to achieve in big bucket items. But first thing in the morning is a real, when you're not being distracted, is a really great time to do that like deep focus work. And then the emails can wait till later in the day when you're a little more exhausted and you need to, just
Yeah,
bang out some emails, answer some calls, things like that. unless it is part of, your business where you absolutely have to answer emails, schedule calls, things like that throughout the day. Then of course, check that off your list at the beginning.
Yeah, and I never noticed the thing about the momentum. Yeah, that makes sense. Like just starting off early, knocking things out.
Yeah. And then if you think about it too, like if you get tired throughout the day, 3 o'clock, you don't even 2 o'clock. Sometimes I know when starts getting dark in the winter, I'm like ready for bed at 2:30. Why is it so dark? But yeah, it's a great thing to actually look back at your to-do list and be like, oh yeah, I accomplished all this today. I'm going to turn off my computer and go have a nap or
Yeah,
go, reward myself with a good movie or something like that.
yeah, the big stuff's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
let me ask you something, I guess, a little bit specific. So, I deal with a lot of real estate agents. How can they benefit from this?
Yeah. So real estate agent, actually, let me take it back a step.
Okay.
So I want to tell you a little bit of my founding story, and this will kind of help tie into real estate agents. So way back when I was touring out with bands, one of the requests that I always got asked was to sanitize a toothbrush in hotel dishwashers. So every time a toothbrush came out of the suitcase, I had to take it down to the hotel industrial dishwasher and have it run through the system and sanitized. Crazy request. And one time, or a lot of times, the hotels knew we were coming. They knew that band was in town. We had stayed there before. They knew that this request was going to happen. They were ready for me to march down into the back of the, kitchen and ask for this toothbrush to be sanitized.
Hmm.
But a lot of times they didn't know we were coming. It was the first time we'd stayed, in the city or the hotel, and we were it was a new request, and that was always fun because I had to now convince these people to run this toothbrush through the dishwasher. And
Did
so
they
I
ever
was
think it was a
standing.
prank?
No, sometimes they were just confused mostly. They were like, what is happening? What is going on? So I remember standing in a hotel in Shanghai and trying to get this toothbrush sanitized and communicate in a language I didn't speak. And I was getting blank stares, and I was standing there with this toothbrush. And all of a sudden, I thought, there's got to be more to life than this. And sure enough, I still loved helping people, and I really wanted to still continue helping people. And I thought maybe I can help more than one crazy rock star at a time. Maybe I can help multiple people achieve their goals, just like I'm helping by washing this toothbrush. So tour ended. I came off the road. I opened up my own business, my first business in 2007, a personal concierge business where I was able to help really busy people save time in their daily lives. And in 2007, there wasn't a lot of resources for founders, for startups, for anyone. I remember there was like one guy in at City Hall who would do like lunch and learns on a Tuesday. It was very strange. But I went, and there was a ton of realtors there because you're entrepreneurs, you're running your own businesses. A lot of executive coaches, and a few people like me who were trying to create these crazy businesses. And then I remember the first co-working space that opened in my city where I lived in Toronto.
Hmm.
And I think I was like the second person to sign up because I was craving that community. I was craving just like the knowledge. I had no business background. I was a crazy like roadie. And I was trying to create this business, and I really wanted help doing it. And so I joined the co-working space. I volunteered at the front desk. I was, part of all their events. And I noticed at the beginning, there were, again, a ton of real estate agents in these spaces. And I feel like they are the original like startup founders. It was realtors and executive coaches. And then like the startup kind of tech founders kind of followed in their footsteps. And I became friends with all my friends became these entrepreneurs, founders, real estate agents. And I started to realize and notice, because of my personal executive assistant background, that a lot of people were scaling and then they couldn't get over the hump. They could only grow so much, and then that was it.
Yeah.
And I realized it was because they didn't have that really strong executive support behind them. A lot of people would, hire friends and family to help with some administrative tasks, or they would try to, outsource as cheap as possible, which is great to get some tasks done, but not necessarily to get over that hump of your business. And sometimes, a lot of times, founders, real estate agents, entrepreneurs, you're way too busy doing everything, trying to complete that massive 6-page to-do list, that you can't get anything done because there's always something else popping up.
Yeah.
So I created then my fractional executive assistant business, so I could help as many founders as possible get over that hump and really succeed with strategic support behind them. So not just someone who would sit back and wait to be delegated to, but someone who would be like your right hand partner and in the business just as much as you are, really wanting it to grow and succeed. You may not need, a full-time executive assistant. You may not have the tasks for them or even the budget. And that's why we created it on a fractional basis, so we could offer it to these, one-stop shop kind of realtors, or executive coaches, or, startup founders.
Okay.
So through my years, I've helped a ton of realtors kind of get out of their own way, to put it, I guess, sort of nicely. But I find that, they're just like any other entrepreneur, and they chase the next shiny thing. So, oh, this is the next thing that I have to like concentrate on. Or I read this book from, the LA realtor guy, I can't remember his name, on that crazy show, and this is what I have to do now to, continue on. Oh, okay, that's not working. I tried that for 3 weeks. Let's move on to this. Or let's concentrate over, maybe I want to sell all big buildings now instead of, family homes or something like that. So I've really been able to work with them to set their goals for the year. What is your strategic goal? Let's put some numbers behind it, and let's work towards focusing, which we've been talking about a lot, and actually achieving those goals before we move on to the next crazy big shiny thing.
Is there a way to help them figure out what their goals are? Because what I've noticed is sometimes I'll speak to somebody and I'll ask them flat out, what's your goal? And unfortunately, what I usually hear is, "Oh, my goal is to make $1 million." I'm like, "Okay, how?" And then it's just
That,
silence.
yeah, that's the key, is the how. We all want to make $1 million, sure. And it's possible
Yeah.
for absolutely everyone to do it. Nothing's holding us back, but you need to have the strategic thought behind it. So I like to do a little exercise with people, and I like to get out a piece of paper and draw a diagonal line through it. And on one side, you write your big personal goal, and on the other side, you write your big business goal. So it's like, I don't know, I want to buy a house and I want to make $1 million, or whatever it is. I want to go on a week-long vacation to Shanghai, or I want to make $10 million, or sell my first $20 million home. So whatever that is. And then you think of the why, which is super important. There's books about your why, your aha moments, which I kind of talked about a little bit with my toothbrush story, thinking that there's got to be more to life than this. And if you associate a why to your goal, it's going to really help you narrow down every day why you are working towards that. So I want to go on my dream vacation. Why do I want to go on my dream vacation? Or I want to make $1 million. Why do I want to make the $1 million? I want to be rich. That's not helpful. That's not going to help anyone get anywhere. I want to be financially stable. I want to help my family. I want to retire my parents early. I want to, be as specific as possible. And
Hmm.
then I like writing down the blockers. So
The
what
what?
things in the blockers? So what things in my life are going to block me or stop me from achieving this goal? So I want to make $1 million. What's going to stop? I now know why I want to make $1 million, but what's going to stop me from actually achieving that? And not a lot of people do that when they do this like goal setting exercise. They always talk about the fluffy and the great parts of it, and like,
Yeah,
I'm
they're
going to do
abstract.
this and like pump yourself up. But it's really important to know what's going to stop you because it's real life.
Yeah.
So I want to make $1 million. I want to sell a 20 million home. What's going to stop me? Maybe I don't have the network to, go out there and find someone who will trust me to sell a $20 million home. Maybe I am a single mom and I might not necessarily have the time to make $1 million this year and concentrate on, my family. Maybe I need to make this a more achievable goal of $500,000 or whatever it is, because I can see that the $1 million is going to take me a little more time than I have. Or, I want to be a real estate agent. I know nothing about real estate. Maybe my first goal shouldn't be a $20 million home. Maybe it should be, passing my real estate exam, which I hear is very difficult to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, what are these things that are going to stop you?
Yeah, and the why. Yeah, that's a jewel.
Yeah. And then that will really help you break it down. So the next part is like, now I know why I'm going to do it. I know that, these things are potentially going to stop me. So I've refocused my goal to be something that I know I can still achieve and attain in this year time. And I've made it measurable, which is also very important.
How
So
did you make it
I'm going to make I'm going to sell a $20 million home by
Okay.
December 31st, 2023. That's measurable. You can know that you've achieved it. You know that you can work towards it every single day. If it's, I'm going to sell a $20 million home, that's my goal. Great. When are you going to achieve it? How are you going to achieve it? And why are you achieving it is really important.
Okay.
And then
Yeah,
you
I love
can,
that.
and then I love breaking down the goal, the big goal, into smaller goals. So making $1 million, great, by December 31st, 2023, wonderful. To do that, I know that I have to make this amount a quarter, this amount a month. To make this amount a month, 83.333.33 thousand is like the magic number I hear for $1 million. And so to make that, I have to sell how many homes? Okay. To sell how many homes, how many people do I have to talk to get in the door to be able to sell those homes or help people buy those homes? What, maybe you want to do both. Maybe you just want to sell, maybe you just want to buy. And then, okay, I need to talk to 1,000 people a month to be able to do this. How am I going to do that? I need to now, go to at least 10 networking events a week. Is it? I need to reach out to this many people on LinkedIn. But now you're starting to really be able to break down your goals into those daily tasks, which we've talked about.
Yeah.
and really see that you're driving forward to that end goal of $1 million.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I feel like that should be in a workbook or something.
I have it.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you the link. We're just actually creating it, but I'll give you a link to download it and your listeners to
Right.
download it. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. One of the things that I like to talk about a lot is quitting the cult of busy, as I like to call it. And I like to really help people be able to do that and live their dream life. And as I said, I talk a lot about time management and I talk a lot about goal setting. And one of the things I always like to ask people is like, what, in your opinion, is the definition of time management? So I've asked you, what would you say your definition of time management was?
Working on things that are worth the time, that basically have like a return on investment. I've noticed that I've seen a lot of people, they are busy but ain't accomplishing shit, you know?
It's true. It's going back to you're too busy doing everything that you can't get anything done.
Yeah.
Sometimes I ask people, what's your definition of time management? And they tell me like working remote so I don't have to commute. And it's like, no, like, yes, sure, you save some time, but no, that's not really time management. Or some people say getting to inbox zero, which I also find very frustrating because, like, I don't know, it's a goal that lasts for 35 seconds and then you get another email and then like you've
It
wasted
never
all your time
stops.
trying to get
Yeah.
trying to get back to zero. Having an organized inbox is one thing. Getting to inbox zero, maybe not the best use of time. But I like saying that time management is about filling your days with meaningful moments so that you can create the life that you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
So, exactly what you said of making sure that
Oh, I got it
everything
right?
that you're doing, you did,
Cool.
is creating the best ROI for you. Now I understand that time management is kind of like a privilege and it's something that not everyone can work towards. Completely understand. However, time is universal. It's something that we all have. Goals are universal, also something that we all dream about and all want. So there's nothing stopping any of us, no matter what walk of life you come from, no matter what your daily priorities, for doing that one little thing a day that can help you get to that like ultimate life that you want to live. You hear stories about it all the time about celebrities who have come from rock bottom, entrepreneurs who have been able to do it. So there's nothing stopping you from doing it. And it's really all about, it's simple. It's all about focus. If you can focus on that and hold yourself accountable, you're going to be able to achieve anything. So getting back to quitting the cult of busy, society, we're like rushing from everywhere. I always laugh when you're on an airplane and like the plane hasn't even stopped and you hear people like click, 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 taking off their seatbelts. I'm like, where are you going? Like, how is
Oh, but
this
they gotta
working
wait
so
in the line.
fast? Yeah, and then they all jump up and they're like hitting people trying to get the bags out of the overhead. The door's not even open. And then the door opens and it's like there's a fire on the plane. Everyone's running. What is happening here? But it's like, why are we busy? Why, like, is everyone emergency room doctors? Are we like secret FBI agents? What is happening over here? Or like, why do people like run across the street on a red light or not even walk to the red light? Like, we're just so busy and we're trying to multitask. We're answering phones, emails while we're having dinner or working 24/7. We're not taking that time to work on our priorities and then take that time for, self-care, self-love, being able to regenerate, restart, really be able to quit that cult of busy. That's what society's telling us. The harder you work, the more success you will be, which is actually completely the opposite. You're
Yeah, that's
going
not
to
true at
burn
all.
out. No, it's not true at
Yeah.
all.
People doing manual
So
labor do not get compensated like that at all.
never. Nope. It's so true. So, and it is addictive. Dopamine does play a big part in this, and it really, oh, someone wants me, someone loves me. They're asking me a question, or this might be my next big client. I need
Yeah.
to answer this email right now. No, you don't need to answer it right now. I'm sure the client is going to wait, 20 minutes, an hour. If it's at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure they're going to wait until you wake up. And if they don't, maybe it's not the ideal client for you anyway. And I always talk about being able to build a life in a business where you're working with your ideal clients. That's a whole other podcast we can talk about.
That's a good one.
Um,
That's a very important one too.
it's a very important one, but it all comes back to like being able to live that dream and fulfill your days with meaningful moments and
Yeah.
build out the best ROI. And not a lot of times when I talk about this, people will always ask me like, well, then you're always working towards something and you're not living in the moment, which is something actually that I've had to teach myself. I've had so many like amazing experiences being able to, in my past life of working with the people that I've worked with and going to all these places. And a lot of the times they just passed me by because I was thinking about the next step where, oh, I have to get this person on this jet. So I need to make sure that the pilot is here, or I need to make sure security's here. Or like, if this person doesn't stop talking to these fans, we're not going to make this, press or something. I was always thinking about that and I never lived in the moment. And it took me a long time to realize that living in the moment is just as important as living for like your next goal or your next whatever it is step that you want to achieve, because you can get to that next step and then you're just like, oh yeah, I did that, or sometimes you don't even think that and you're just constantly moving on to the next thing. You made $1 million and all of a sudden you want to make $10 million, but you don't relish in the fact that you actually made $1 million. This is cool. So
Yeah,
living
I've
in the
seen that
moment
happen a
is
lot. Hell, I'm
really,
guilty of that too.
yeah, yeah.
It turns
And
into the love of the
we
hunt
talk
kind
about
of.
we talked about this before, and really being able to visualize your goals and set them so you can really see like where you're going, where you're achieving, how you've got done, where you've come from. It really helps with living in the moment.
Mm. Yeah, that's a lot of great info. Is
Yeah.
is there anything you want to plug?
No, maybe my socials. So you can find me at Tara's Time on Twitter, and I'm Tarra Stubbins on LinkedIn, and Tara underscore concierge on Instagram. Tara with 2 R's.
Okay, we'll put it on the screen.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, this has been a Mo Moment. Stay blessed, everybody.